right, what's going on, guys? We got a brand new week this week. It is Monday, September the 15th, and we're kicking it off. And we're just going to kind of break down some stuff regarding the alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk. Some information that has now come forward from the FBI and authorities. Some things that are just very odd to me that we're going to talk about today. And then I'm going to show you some stuff that you probably didn't hear on the news that transpired leading up to the event and then on the very day of the event. So we're going to cover all of this on today's podcast. So let's go.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's going on, guys? It is End Time Headlines here, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the broadcast. If you're watching, listening, whatever the case may be, if you're able to comment in the comment section on here on YouTube or Rumble, or if you're in the live chat for the first time coming onto the program, let us know that you're new and where you guys are tuning in from. We want to welcome you, I myself, as well as our admins. You'll see them with the little blue wrench if you're in the YouTube chat. And we want to, again, welcome to the program. We pray that you will find something of value here, that you'll be blessed by our content. We don't shy away from any topics. We will discuss whatever, whenever, and however we want. We are not intimidated by threats to that they're going to unfollow and unsubscribe and all this nonsense. And these key events like this, guys, really expose the hearts of people. And it also exposes, I believe, the shepherds behind pulpits. Let me just rant on this for a minute and then we'll move on. Yesterday, my family and I, and I will not name the church, we've been attending on and off because we're still most of you guys know the circumstance of what happened to a church that we attended for several years. I'm not going to rehash all of that, but there were some things that I personally confronted the pastor about that where I felt was wrong, and I was not alone on this. There was multiple families. Nothing was really resolved to what we felt was going to not even mitigate the situation. So we prayerfully moved on. And for many months, we've been praying for a home church, a brick and mortar place that we could plant, put our roots down, and a place, where our family and I could be submitted under a pastor and be fed there. But it's very difficult, even in the area where I live, just like many of you. We're no different, guys, than what I hear from many of you guys from emails and messages, letters, where your region, your area, your city, you can't find spirit-filled, Bible-believing, doctrinally sound churches. I get it. We're all in the same boat. We're living in the last days. And it is very difficult to find. And I'm not saying we're going to find a church of perfection, because there is no church of perfection. And if there was a perfect church, once you step in it, it won't be perfect anymore. And I'm not talking about you directly. I'm talking about in generality, because we're all flawed human beings. But I always say this, oil flows down and not up. So the congregation is going to be a reflection of the leadership. And if the leadership, listen to me, if the leadership is silent on matters that mean something, they're silent on events, they're silent on Bible prophecy, they're silent on sin, they're silent on topics and social topics and cultural topics that need to be addressed from the pulpit. If they're silent on that, in my opinion, they have succumbed to the woke agenda, and they are hirelings. They're behind pulpits to earn a paycheck, to gain a following, and to fill seats up with warm hind ends, because that means more money for them in the tithe. And unfortunately, yesterday, with everything that just happened in this nation, with Charlie Kirk, there was not, the church we were attending, there was nothing mentioned. No prayer, no acknowledgement, nothing. Not even a 2-minute discussion on this matter. It was as if honestly, if you didn't have any news and and everything was shut down and you went into the service, you would have not known that anything happened in our nation that was major. And this is an absolute atrocity, and it's unacceptable. And it's sad. And now I know I got some people saying, well, this was a political matter, and so that shouldn't be discussed. Okay, let's just go with that notion for a second. And guys, it's not really what I want to talk about today, but I just want to get this off my chest here. Let's just say it was political. Even if it was, do you not think that it merits a discussion of prayer? Being that this was a high-profile figure that was assassinated in cold blood in America, and it has rocked this nation to the core. Whether you agree with this man, you didn't like him, you liked him, you didn't agree with his views, you did agree with his views, it rocked this nation to the core. Do you not think it merits at least 5 minutes of your precious time and your program and your agenda to stop everything and say, hey, can we pray for the healing of our nation? Can we pray for its leaders? Can we pray for the protection of our cities? Unbelievable. But am I shocked? No, because this is the times that we're in. So regardless, I said all that to say, if you're looking for a ministry that is going to keep you up to par with the times and season in which we're in, this is it. Our ministry will not shy away from this stuff. We're going to discuss this and we're going to talk about this stuff openly. I am not intimidated by people's threats to unfollow us and unsubscribe us. Never have been. Never. Forrest Frank just came out. He's a Christian artist. And when he publicly displayed his acknowledgement, his support for Charlie Kirk and his acknowledging the tragedy, praying for his family, he lost, let this soak in, 30,000 subscribers.
30,000 people unfollowed me because I posted about Charlie Kirk and I said that Jesus Christ is Lord. Good. I don't want you to follow me. I don't want you to track my music. I don't want you to come to my shows.
That's where we're at in this country. But praise God that he does not care. And he's going to keep on the firing line, and he's going to keep doing what he's doing because he's not intimidated by that. And there's still a remnant, guys, that are still voices crying in the wilderness, and we're not moved and swayed by people's opinions and their threats of unsubscribing and unfollowing and all this other nonsense. Because listen, because the bottom line is you didn't call us, you didn't equip us, and you didn't commission us, and you didn't raise us up to be those voices for such a time as this. It was God and him alone, and it's him who will decide and determine when and how long our voice remains for such a time as this. John the Baptist was a voice crying in the wilderness to prepare the way of the Lord, and it cost him his head. He didn't deter his mission. He didn't derail his mission. He fought the good fight of faith. He was a friend of the bridegroom. He wasn't intimidated by threats. In the end, he was a martyr, but he continued what God had called him to be. All right, so having said that, before we get into the meat of what we're going to talk about today, can you do me a favor, guys? Hit that like button. Go ahead and just hit that like button. It only take a second to do that. Go ahead and take it a step further. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that bell notification. We do have a free app. If you enjoy all of our content, you can go to your Play Store, Apple, Android, again, whatever you have, whatever your device is, we got you covered. Go to the Play Store, type in End Time Headlines, look for our official trademark logo right there. Download the app, hit yes to push notifications, you'll be squared away. Now, we are praying, guys, about the direction of our ministry. We're going to continue to do what we're doing, but it may look different. It may have a facelift. Things are shifting in the social media arena and how content is out there in this. And I'm having discussions with my tech team, and I'm looking for advice on certain how we can be more influential, how we can be more effective at what we're doing. So we'll fill you in. Now the app, we're always going to have the app, we're going to have the website, but it may look different in the coming months or whatnot. It depends on how things go. But more of our focus may be on these podcasts like this, where we get the message out, not so much in written articles, but in these discussions like we're having right now. So what are we going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about some information, guys, that's how can I put this? It's from day one of this entire thing, and we're 5 days into this? This Wednesday will be 1 week since the assassination occurred of Charlie Kirk in Utah. And there's the way this thing has played out is very interesting, to say the least. Let me just give you a little rundown real quick from the top of my head. They arrested an individual, they let him go. They arrested another individual, they let him go. Then the alleged man, the one that he came out and said, we got him. That suspect is now the one that they're pinning this to. And they are saying that this is the guy, we've got him. But yeah, and then they released this footage. I'm going to show you. Let's go right into this first. Let's pull this up. All right, let's go to this. This was the footage first. We don't need sound here, so I'm going to show you the footage first. Here comes this. You'll see this right here. Now, before I hit the play button on this, all right. So in Utah, they go by Mountain Pacific time. Okay, and from all the research I did, Charlie Kirk was shot at 12:23 Mountain Pacific time. Now, here's the footage. Look up here to the left top, right here. I hope you can see my mouse cursor right here. There, right here at the top. I'm going to zoom in here. You see 12:23:39. So 39 seconds. 39 seconds had passed. Okay, so we're going to play the footage. So the clock is ticking. So at this point, we're told by the FBI, the authorities, the local authorities, that the shooter who fired the gun from this roof used this bolt action, this old gun that is broken apart, and according to them, he disassembled this firearm, put it in the backpack, and ran off across the roof and down the roof. So remember, the clock's ticking. It's been 41 seconds. Boom, the shot was fired, 41 seconds has passed, and we assume that he's right behind this structure right here, right? So I don't know how long it takes to disassemble a gun. Here he is. Now he's made his appearance. So within 40 seconds, he disassembled this firearm and was able to put it in this backpack. We assume that's what we're being told. Okay, so let's go with the footage. So you see, here he comes. And it's panned in. There's the bag that we assume that the firearm is in the backpack, whatever that is. Obviously, he doesn't have the firearm on him. He's not holding it. It's not in his pants leg like that one footage they show where he's walking down the street before the shooting, and they say he had the gun in his leg and he was limping because the gun was stuck in his leg. Now, later on, they say they recovered this in the woods. Now, let's watch. So he's going down. See, again, no sign of a firearm. We assume that it's in the bag. That's what we're being told, that everything is right there in this bag. Here he goes. He's running off with it. Running down the street. Here's an individual right here that sees him. Here's an individual right here in this white SUV that sees him. If this is indeed the shooter. Now, why am I saying it? Because there's some weird stuff, guys, that's coming out that and I'll explain in just a moment. So anyway, we've all seen this. So let me pull back here. Then some interesting stuff has happened over the past 24 hours. Then we get this information. Check this out.
So Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, reportedly lived with a transgender partner in Utah, according to FBI officials.
And this is the same partner that reportedly came forward with messages from the suspect discussing the killing, including the rifle, engraved bullets, and a change of clothes.
Retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Gagliano joining us now. You know, we've had this conversation, my friend, about the nexus of information as we continue to unpack this investigation. If you wouldn't mind, is it relevant at all as a data point who this person, this shooter was involved with? Does that matter at all as we look at the investigation in terms of the community? Lawrence, and I think even Rachel mentioned earlier, Discord communities. How do you unpack that when people say, oh, it shouldn't matter?
Investigations are layered. And really, when you go to look at this now, we're seeing this new ideation, which is assassination culture.
Yeah.
What does that consist of?
Yeah.
Starts out with a grievance. These are all grievance collectors, whether it's a mass shooter, a terrorist, or a political assassin. You add into that an ideology. My ideology is superior to yours. You're an existential threat. You're going to stop the next election. You're against my family unit. And last, moral absolutism. You believe that you are superior, your thinking is superior, and I have the right to take your life because I disagree with you.
So in this country, we have a history, sadly, of political assassinations.
That's right. Yep.
And, you know, let's take JFK, for example. People had a lot of ideas and theories about what would have what happened.
And JFK, the assassination is to this day and has been and always will be shrouded in conspiracy. And I want to know your thoughts on this, guys, in the chat. Does anyone here actually believe the official narrative of the JFK assassination? Do you actually think it was Lee Harvey Oswald that acted alone, as we're told? If you believe it was, hit yes. If you believe it was not, hit no. Because I'm going to be willing to bet that the vast majority of individuals do not believe the official narrative.
And was that killer or shooter, you know, he was obviously a disturbed person, but who was actually behind animating and using that disturbed person to actually, you know, kill our president? So
that's interesting. Who was behind that? And that's the question I really want to ask about this too, because we'll show you why in just a moment.
Do you know anything about that? And do you feel like our government can be trusted to dig that deep?
We're certainly not immune to political violence. I mean, in our 250-year history, 4 sitting presidents have been assassinated. We're conditioned, sadly, Rachel, that's normal. You know, whether it's Gabby Giffords or Justice Kavanaugh, we think that that's almost our norm. Charlie was an interlocutor. He was somebody that just went to college campuses and debated. Now, in looking at this assassin and what he did, it was just a cacophony of errors and how clumsy it was. He was successful in what he ultimately set out to do in his dastardly deed. He is essentially a murderous nihilist. But the FBI now is...
Right. Did you hear what he said? Let's go back here. This is suspect to me, too. Let's listen.
Errors and how clumsy it was. He went to campuses and debated. Now, in looking at this assassin and what he did, it was just a cacophony of errors and how clumsy it was. He was successful in what he ultimately set out to do in his dastardly deed.
Stop. That's why a lot of individuals believe that this man did not act, quote unquote, alone. That he was not the sole perpetrator that conspired this event, that there was other actors involved. There was other perpetrators involved. There was people that was helping, possibly funding, scoping out the whole 9 yards. And again, like I said, guys, we always talk about this. We're going to unravel this thing. Let's keep going.
He is essentially a murderous nihilist. But the FBI now is digging deeper. Was he inspired by somebody or something? And was he directed, or did anybody provide any material support? That's important.
That's what I want to know.
Can we stay right there?
There
Because,
you go.
and we got a statement from Discord, which is the chat feature, the gaming app that they were using. Now, they say that they've kicked them off the app, and the communications that took place were after the assassination. I'm not comfortable with just the company's answer. I want to see how forensic people do. Do you think there could have been planning on the app before? And if the people that he was communicating with knew about it or had conversation about it, will they be brought in?
That's the tough thing. I mean, we cherish our Fourth Amendment protections, against illegal searches and seizures and all of our privacies that we
Look at this shirt right here. Keep an eye on that too, because we're going to show you something here in just a
appreciate as well. This is tough. Remember 2015 San Bernardino, and at the time FBI Director Comey trying to get into an Apple phone from the terrorists who were dead and was unsuccessful.
No.
We had to end up going to get some kid to break the code because Apple wasn't working with us at the time. Later they changed their mind. Yeah, it's a tough thing. Again, people online say crazy things. It's separating that from the people that are going to act on it. And Lawrence, to your point, that's the tough part.
Well, I think this is going to be a challenge for the FBI. MAGA and President Trump's people are in charge. And I think people are going to, really look at this to see, do we have the FBI? Can we restore the trust that was lost?
Yeah.
So much of it lost during the last administration. So,
Well, speaking of the FBI, look at this. This is from the Daily Mail. FBI tried to hide the trans identity of Charlie Kirk suspect's lover after his chilling forward response to investigators. So, going back to this right here, just this interview on Fox News, trying to quote unquote restore the public's trust in the FBI. And then you get stuff like this. Why did the FBI try to hide the trans identity of the suspect's lover? You got to ask yourself that. So, guys, there's something going on here. Now, there is two trains of thought here. One is, this is the only two trains of thought here. Either one, that this is a new, dangerous, terrifying trend where you're seeing, and think about the shooting in Minnesota with the school, the Catholic school. Remember, the shooter identified as what? Trans. It had all of this propaganda that was written on the gun cartridges and whatnot, right? There was all this the graffiti and the writings that was on there. Then we see this trend, and now all of a sudden it conveniently emerges again. It conveniently emerges again with this assassination of Charlie Kirk with all the bullet casings. And then we could go back to the one that took place in Tennessee. The shooter that went into the school, and they try to hide the manifesto. The FBI tried to put a lid on the manifesto and would not release it to the general public until other sources began to leak it to the public, and they had no choice but to leak it.
Other news are following. Details on the manifesto of the woman who killed 3 children and 3 adults at a Nashville Christian school last spring have now leaked to the public.
Showing the thoughts of the killer, some of them vulgar. Anthony's back with these details.
Scott and Dawn, the 3 images released show a schedule for what the shooter termed Death Day, and 2 pages expressing Covenant school shooter Audrey Hale's possible motive for killing 6 people, including 3 9-year-old children at the Covenant school she attended herself as a child. A month before the shooting, in Hale's journal, she wrote, quote, "kill those kids," then uses a racial slur describing white students at, quote, "private fancy schools." The 28-year-old, who identified as transgender, also uses a homophobic slur, writing, quote, about white privileges. On the morning of the attack, Hale describes feeling, quote, nervous but excited, writing, "can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm ready. I hope my victims aren't. My only fear is if anything goes wrong, I'll do my best to prevent any of the sort. God, let my wrath take over my anxiety." Nashville police say the pictured writings are not official crime scene images, as authorities now work to learn who released them.
Now, here's what's interesting is Steven Crowder leaked this information here with these writings on these the gun casings and whatnot. He leaked this to the public way before the FBI ever did, the authorities did. And I almost want to guarantee you guys, based on history, track record, that if that information had never been leaked, I don't think it would ever seen light of day.
Stephen Crowder, shout out to the Louderworth Crowder crew and the Mug Club. They have obtained the Utah County Sheriff's Office internal documents regarding suspected Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson. The information has been made public by the Crowder team, and I'm not so much focused on his personal details, but we have the charges: felony discharge of firearm causing serious bodily injury, obstruction of justice, capital first-degree felony conduct, and aggravated murder, which not bailable. And I believe in the second document just repeats those charges with more information about the individual and the probable cause statement, which is long, but I do want to read. It says, the following information was obtained by your affiant from police officers. Multiple video recordings posted on social media websites, Utah Valley University campus surveillance cameras, and those who witnessed the incident. On September 10th, 2025, Charles James Kirk was at the Utah Valley University campus in Orem, Utah for a political event. Mr. Kirk is a conservative political activist who is scheduled to speak at an event in the courtyard area of the UVU campus. The courtyard area is to the west of the Lossy Center building. According to video recordings, Charles was wearing a white t-shirt and dark pants, sitting under a white canopy in a courtyard of the campus facing to the east. The event was attended by hundreds of individuals. Charles was surrounded by people with multiple individuals to his left, right, and rear and front of the canopy. Behind the canopy was a walkway used for access to various parts of the university. Charles was holding a microphone and speaking to the crowd. While speaking to the microphone, a loud gunshot was heard at approximately 12:23 hours, and Charles appeared to have been hit in the neck. Blood was seen coming from the left side of his neck as he fell over to his left. Charles was transported to the Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem. Charles was pronounced deceased at the hospital. Investigators reviewed the Utah Valley University surveillance cameras. While reviewing the surveillance cameras, investigators observed an individual on the rooftop of the Lossy Center building on the UVU campus at the time of the shooting. Hereafter, the unidentified individual will be referred to as suspect. Based on surveillance camera footage, suspect appears to be a white male with dark-colored hair, wearing a dark-colored hat, sunglasses, a long-sleeve black shirt, with a picture of an American flag and an eagle printed on the shirt, dark-colored jeans, and white and gray shoes with white-colored shoelaces. The shoes appear to be consistent with Chuck Taylor Converse-style shoes. The suspect is also carrying a dark-colored backpack on his back. Suspect walks with a distinctive gait. Prior to the shooting, suspect appears to walk with a stiff right leg and at a relatively slow pace. Suspect's ability to bend his right leg appears to be restricted. Investigators were able to track suspect's movements on the UVU campus starting at approximately 11:50 hours on 9/10/2025. At approximately 11:50 hours, a UVU surveillance camera first captured suspect walking across a grassy area north of Campus Drive at approximately 800 West. Suspect walked south through the parking lot and approached a pedestrian tunnel that runs underneath Campus Drive. Before entering the tunnel, suspect paused at the top of the stairs and pulled out what appeared to be a cell phone from his right pocket, using his right hand at approximately 11:53 hours. Suspect eventually puts what appears to be a cell phone back in his right pants pocket, using his right hand. Surveillance captured suspect making his way towards the Lossy Center. At approximately 12:02 hours, suspect was recorded walking on the north side of the Lossy Center building, walking with the same gait as observed earlier. Suspect entered the Lossy Center building through a set of doors on the southeast corner of the Lossy Center building at approximately 12:15 hours. Suspect was observed walking up the stairs that lead to the common area adjacent to the Lossy Center building. Suspect walked to a short concrete wall that separates the common area from the rooftop of the Lossy Center building at approximately 12:17 hours. Suspect climbed over the short wall and appeared to crouch down on the north side of the wall on the rooftop. At approximately 12:22 hours, suspect stood up and started running across the rooftop of the Lossy Center building. The notable limp from his previous surveillance was absent. The suspect ran to the west side of the rooftop and appeared to scoot along the rooftop area as he got closer to the edge of the rooftop. At approximately 12:22 hours, suspect laid down in a position consistent with a prone shooting position near the edge of the rooftop and appeared to be facing west in the direction of the courtyard area. The rooftop of the Lossy Center building overlooks the courtyard area where the event featuring Charlie Kirk was taking place. The Lossy Center building is east of the courtyard area. At approximately 12:23 hours, Charlie Kirk was shot. At approximately 12:23 hours, surveillance shows the suspect stood up and suddenly from the edge of the rooftop and sprinted north on the rooftop of the Lossy Center building. Suspect ran to the northeast corner of the Lossy Center building and approached the edge of the rooftop. Suspect placed a dark-colored item on the rooftop and proceeded to lower himself off the rooftop. Suspect dropped off the rooftop onto the grass below. Suspect ran north near the parking lot to the east of the Losi Center. At approximately 12:24 hours, suspect ran north across the Campus Drive Road. Suspect appeared to be carrying an item whose identity is not clear from the surveillance. The area to the north of the Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over consists with a grassy area with trees on the edges of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices bulge, OWO, what's this?" Inscription on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, catch," up arrow symbol, a right arrow symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow, Chow." A third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." Investigators also discovered a shoe impression on the northeast corner rooftop edges of the Losi Center building. This shoe impression was located in the vicinity where the suspect climbed down from the rooftop. The shoe impression is consistent with the shoe sole characteristics of a Converse Chuck Taylor shoe. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at UVU. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from the UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with the surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, 2025. And in conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed the roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where the rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. Based on the evidence detailed in this statement, I believe there's probable cause that Tyler Robinson committed the crimes of aggravated murder by shooting Charlie Kirk in a circumstance that put many around him at grave risk of death, felony discharge of a firearm, and obstruction of justice for moving and hiding the rifle believed to be used in the shooting. By submitting this affidavit, I declare under criminal penalty of the state of Utah that the foregoing is true and correct. Signed, Davis Bryan.
All right, the FBI tried keeping the gender identity of the trans partner of Charlie Kirk's alleged killer a secret because, quote, he had been extremely cooperative with authorities. That's their excuse. Sources familiar with the case said that Lance Twiggs was aghast when confronted by investors over his lover's alleged assassination plot, saying, "Oh my God, no." Investigators are looking into whether Kirk's alleged killer, Tyler Robinson, was motivated by his belief that the conservative activist views on transgender people were, quote, hateful. After asking investigators if that's what happened, a horrified Twiggs agreed to cooperate and said, quote, "Here are all the messages according to Axios. Discord messages sent by the alleged killer, who was listed as Tyler, reportedly mentioned how he had wrapped his rifle in a towel and stashed it in some bushes near Utah Valley University where Kirk was shot." And that's what we're being told. The sender also said the rifle would have been would have to be retrieved, Utah Governor Spencer Cox said during a news conference. I want to go over here. This is from the New York Post, and they dug some stuff in here a little bit deeper on this that I thought was very intriguing. Okay, again, Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, lived with transgender partner. Okay, we've assessed that. Let's read on here. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, was living with a transgender partner, was in the process of transitioning from male to female. Now, here is an official interview. This is a neighbor that was being interviewed. This is Tyler Robinson's neighbor that was interviewed. And listen what he had to say about Tyler and his roommate. Check this out.
Yeah, they were. So, yeah, they drove off in his car, the Dodge Challenger.
The time you saw them or this week?
It was about the time I saw them. So
how long ago was that?
I would say about 2 weeks ago.
And so they looked like they were a couple?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was dressed all in black?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And you thought he was weird?
Yeah, I definitely, yeah.
What was weird about him?
Just the way he walked and just the way I've seen him. I've never seen really anybody dressed all in black with a mask on, and I thought that was just quite weird.
He was dressed all in black and a mask on. Now, this was 2 weeks ago. This was 2 weeks before the shooting took place.
For those who've never seen the roommate, describe that person for us.
He did have freckles on his face. For the haircut, it was a weird haircut. I can't quite, it was kind of a mushroom shaped one. Yeah, I would say he didn't come out much, but definitely a few other, like just a little bit at a time.
There's some published reports out there that this individual, the roommate, may have been transitioning. Did that correlate with what you saw?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so he was going to have an operation to be to turn into a woman.
Yeah, and I think he's getting ready for that.
Sorry, in what way do you think that?
I remember them talking about a doctor's appointment. It was about
That's interesting. He said he heard them talking about a doctor's appointment where Tyler's lover, whatever you want to call it here, was scheduling a transition from a man to a woman. Now listen to this.
2 weeks ago, I would say.
And they were kissing?
Yeah.
Do you know where did you see them kissing?
Just coming out. I was riding with my bike, so I didn't see the whole thing, but yeah. I saw them.
And when did you hear them talking about a doctor's appointment?
I would say about the same time that they came out. So that one time, yeah.
Where were you standing for that?
I was just riding by here.
Okay. So. And you were able to hear snippets of their conversation?
Yeah. Yep.
But you were sure that they were a couple, but you have only seen them together once?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, random guys don't hold hands and definitely don't kiss. So.
All right, that was kind of hard to hear that with the noise of the street traffic, but he said random guys don't hold hands and they're not kissing. So I
would have tried to stop him if I knew it was him, like before. I definitely do not like the fact that he was living close to me. It was covered with police tape, a ton of police cars. We had a guy sitting up on the hill with a sniper and SWAT trucks. And definitely a few helicopters and a drone as well.
What was going through your mind when you stepped in?
I was like, what is going on? And I asked the police officer, I'm like, did a killing happen here? They're like, I can't tell you. And so I called my grandma and found out that the guy that shot Kirk lived right close to me. So for Charlie Kirk, I knew him over the years. Like I didn't know him personally, but I've watched his videos before.
Now, I want to pull this up because nobody is talking about this right here. Listen to this. Now, this is a neighbor of Robinson and his, we're going to call it his gay lover. I mean, let's just call it like it is. A neighbor claimed that 2 weeks ago, several people driving cars with out-of-state license plates were seen going in and out, and they did not give off a good vibe. I want to read this whole statement right here again from a neighbor. Nobody's talking about this. Fox News, CNN, No mainstream media outlet that I know of is mentioning this right here. This is a big missing part of this. A neighbor claims that 2 weeks prior to this event happening, several people driving vehicles with out-of-state license plates were seen going in and out of the driveway. The neighbor said they did not give off good vibes. What is going on here, guys? This bothers me. So there's two trains of thought here. Either one, this is a new, dangerous, scary, and terrifying trend that we're seeing, where these shooters they have the same manifesto. They're leaving the same paper trail, if you would. They're leaving the same calling card with the propaganda written on the gun shells and the casings and the weapons they're using. Again, we went over this a while ago. The shooting in Tennessee at the school, we saw this with the Minnesota shooting. Now we're seeing this again. And I probably missed a few other ones in there. And now we just saw this again. So either one, this is where we're heading. And it's a dangerous new movement that we better be aware of. Or, watch this, let me throw another angle. Or this is the narrative that somebody, I'm not saying who, but somebody is manufacturing and creating this narrative to further divide the country and intentionally cause civil war. There's no other train of thought. There's no middle ground on this, guys. It's either this or this. And I'm really trying to present everything to you and show you what's going on. Now, I want to show you this. Again, look at this. Think about what I just told you when we read these headlines. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin's transgender roommate, quote, hates conservatives and Christians. Now, this was according to a relative that said this. Now, again, I don't know if this is true. I'm only reporting it to you. Let's go back over here. The trans roommate of Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin hates conservatives and Christians, one of his relatives told Fox News in an interview. The 22-year-old who has not been charged and whose name has not been released by authorities. All right, the woman who asked to remain anonymous told Fox News her relative began to act differently when he turned 18 and said that he developed a hatred of Christians and conservatives. Now, if this is true, ladies and gentlemen, this is why this is dangerous for you and I. When people try to say, well, this was political, this was a political hit job, this was all about politics. Well, if this information is true, it's not. Wake up. Persecution has now come to America, whether you like it or not, whether you're willing to accept that or not. If this information is true, then what we read about in third world countries and the threat on their lives, and they don't have the opportunity to openly worship in open squares because they are threatened, their lives are threatened, they have to go underground. Is this now, are we seeing the introduction of this in America? Is this the beginning of what's to come? Quote, he hates conservatives and Christians. He hated us. He was not raised that way, but over the years he has become really detached and been radicalized. Gee, I wonder who and what radicalized him. The mainstream media and universities, maybe? He has obviously gotten progressively worse the last year or two, the relative said, adding that he's always very angry. This is demonic, guys. There's a demonic element to this. Something else that the mainstream media won't tell you. The relative suspects Robinson's politics were influenced by his partner in the year they had been dating. Now, according to other reports, the Utah governor came out and said that the shooter was, quote, clearly influenced by leftist ideology. This information comes from the people around him and his family members and friends. Cox said Tyler Robinson, 22 years of age, is, quote, not cooperating, and that friends paint a picture of someone radicalized in the dark corners of the internet. So this is where Discord and all this stuff plays into it. Friends have confirmed that there was kind of that deep, dark internet, the Reddit culture, and these other dark places of the internet where this person was going deep. Then you have this report. Now, this one raised, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, this one raised eyebrows for me. Now, according to the latest reports, the assassin, Tyler Robinson, wrote a handwritten note, 22 years of age, wrote a handwritten note saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it. Now, this is according to the FBI that are saying this. Now, why do I have a problem with this? Guys, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe I'm out of touch here, but I'm just going to go out on a limb and say this. All of the letters that we get in our ministry are from older individuals, elderly, probably maybe my age or older, 48 or above. No young individual has ever written us a handwritten letter that I know of personally. Now, I could be wrong, but the vast majority, even older folks now, the vast majority, we don't write hand letters anymore. We email, we text, we message, we use social media. I find it very hard to believe that if an individual knew that they were perpetrating, plotting, and well orchestrating a hit job on somebody like this, that they're going to leave a note, a handwritten note saying, quote, I have the opportunity to take out this individual and I'm going to take it. I mean, look, maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the chat. Do you believe that? Do you believe this report? Do you believe he actually wrote this? Hit yes. If you don't, hit no. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. All right, but let's just see what it says. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin wrote a note saying he was going to take out the conservative commentator before he shot him, according to FBI Director Kash Patel. I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it, the note read. The note, listen to this, was written before the shooting. It was in the suspect's partner's home, Patel said. Quote, we have since learned the note, even though, now look at this. Oh, come on, I want to read this. We have since learned the note, even though it was destroyed. Even though it was destroyed, we have the note. We have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what the note said because our aggressive interview posture at the FBI. What? Again, this just sounds weird to me, guys. It's unsettling to me. Patel did not clarify whether the note was handwritten or digital or how it was recovered. So now he's not saying whether it was a letter, handwritten, or whether it was digital. We're just saying that he wrote a note. Okay? I think you need to be a little bit more specific when you address the public and tell them this. I want to say it's interesting because it said whatever the source of the note was, digital, paper, it was, quote, destroyed. It was destroyed, but we have found forensic evidence of the note. And we have confirmed the note said what it said because of our aggressive interview posture at the FBI. So this is weird, guys. Robinson, 22, again, taken into custody, but he's not cooperating. Now, Patel also revealed that DNA matching Robinson was found at the spot where Kirk's shooter fired from, as well as on the towel that covered the murder weapon when it was ditched in the woods by the killer. So they have now pinpoint this on this guy. This is, if he did it, they got him. If he's the fall guy, he's the fall guy. There's too much now that they're just going to put it all on this guy. And I know someone, listen, I know someone may be watching, listen to this, and they say, why are you saying these things like this, Brother Ricky? This is very sensitive. Because, guys, I want to go back to what that Fox host that Fox News host said, the trust of the FBI is not exactly the highest right now. All I'm saying, guys, is there's a lot of things that are happening very quickly, and things are evolving, and there's a lot of weird stuff happening right now. It's centered around this case, and I'm, it's hard when you're trying to weed through all of this information to try to get the truth. That's what we want. We want the truth. We know that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. We know that this was a level of evil that's beyond understanding, beyond comprehension. We know these are the facts. We know that this was the work of demonic forces. Again, either a man, men, an organization, somebody carried it out. But these were vessels of demonic powers. Again, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, ladies and gentlemen, but against principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, and evil in high places. Now look at this. 2 men, reports came out. 2 men were arrested for allegedly planting a lightning bomb under a Utah news media vehicle near the campus where Kirk was assassinated. According to the report, 2 men allegedly planted a bomb underneath a news van in Utah. This happened on this past Friday and tried to ignite it, sparking a massive evacuation and federal probe. Adib Nasir, 58 years of age, and Adil Justice Ahmed Nasir, 31 years of age, were each arrested on Sunday when authorities turned up at their front door in Magna, Utah, less than an hour away from the college where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Unbelievable. The pair is accused of hiding an incendiary device found underneath a news media vehicle parked next to an occupied building. The explosive had been lit, but apparently malfunctioned. Thank God. Come on, this is why we got to keep praying. And this is why the church has to keep interceding. So no weapon formed will prosper in Jesus' name. Now, I know me saying that is going to spark some reaction, be like, well, wait a minute, what about Charlie Kirk? Why didn't God protect Charlie Kirk? Guys, if God allowed that to happen, there is a reason. You can mark my words, God does not allow anything like that to happen unless there is a greater purpose and a reason behind it. Sometimes we fail to remember things. I'm going to remind you that Charlie Kirk is not the only martyr in America. Some say he's the first martyr in America, the first Christian martyr. No. In my lifetime, I can go all the way back to Columbine. And there was a couple young ladies there that they were very outspoken in their faith and their commitment to Jesus Christ. And they were both murdered and they were mocked for their faith when they were killed. This is in Columbine High School in Colorado. What, in 1999? Those were martyrs. This was televised all over mainstream media news outlets. And back then, even the liberal news outlets would allow that to be streamed without it being heavily filtered and propagated. But not anymore. So we got to see firsthand that God was moving in the midst of tragedy even back then, and God used a tragedy to bring about good. And I'm telling you, he's already doing it with this situation. Because we got to remember, our brother is in heaven today. When within seconds, he went from, he was absent from the body and present with the Lord. He finished his race. The ones that are mourning are us on earth, not in heaven. They were rejoicing in heaven. The Bible says, how precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of one of his. I can see it now that they were waiting and cheering him on. According to Hebrews, there is the cloud of witnesses that are cheering on us on this side of heaven until we finish our race. When all these men of God, Paul and the disciples, when they were all martyred, they were martyred for their faith. When they entered into heaven, they were cheered on by those that had already passed on. So guys, this right here, this is why, again, we have got to keep our head on a swivel. be alert, pay attention to your surroundings. And for goodness sake, if you don't have to be in large crowds, don't do it. And I'm not saying that go hide in your basement somewhere and never go out and live life. I'm not saying that, because I refuse to let these evil forces push us in a corner and suppress us and not allow us to live life. But at the same time, use wisdom. Pay attention to your surroundings of what you can do. And there's a lot of more things I would advise you to do, but I really can't say them here on this podcast because of censorship, and there is still a level of censorship. But if your state allows it, I would say, other than the blood of Jesus and prayer and intercession, I would say, with the laws of the land, do what you can do, the best you can to protect you and your family. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So as I said, this case gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and it just keeps going down this spiral, down this rabbit hole. Look at this: FBI investigating leftist groups for possible ties to Charlie Kirk's assassination. The FBI is investigating the leftist groups to see if they knew about the alleged shooter's plan beforehand or provided any assistance to him. The source did not elaborate on which groups are being investigated. All right, guys, now for the next few moments, I'm going to shift gears and I'm going to show you some things that you probably did not hear on the mainstream media that were consequently surrounded, or they surrounded this event. They were centered around this event, either right before it or on the day of the event, that I think is at least noteworthy to discuss. For example, if you think there is not spiritual warfare behind the scenes going on right now in America, then you're still asleep, my friend. You're still asleep. Your head is still buried in the sand, and it's time to wake up. Look at, I want to show you this article. This is from Charisma. Jezebel. Now, this is not the actual Jezebel of the Old Testament, but it's an organization called Jezebel, slammed for promoting witchcraft against Charlie Kirk days before the assassination. Let's read this report. The website Jezebel is under fire for the statements regarding witchcraft use against Charlie Kirk just days prior to his life taken. According to Variety, the site posted a story with the headline, quote, "We paid some Etsy witches to curse Charlie Kirk." Now, I want to stop right here, and I want to assure you that Charlie Kirk was born again, spirit-filled, and full of the Holy Ghost, and you can't curse what God has blessed. So we're not going to give them the glory, and we're not going to attribute to what happened to these stupid witches that did this. Because no weapon formed against a man or a woman of God will prosper. So I just want to let you know right off top, that's not why we're highlighting this. We're not trying to tell you that, oh, this is the cause of it. This was why it happened. No. What we're showing you is that this is not flesh and blood, guys, that we're dealing with. This is not left and right. This is not Democrat and conservative. This is evil versus good, light versus darkness, demonic forces against the forces of God. That's what we're talking about here. Read Ephesians chapter 6. The editor's note was added to the article, read, the story was published on the 8th of September. Okay, 2 days prior to this event happening. Jezebel condemns the shooting of Charlie Kirk in the strongest possible terms. We do not endorse, encourage, or excuse political violence of any kind. As Variety noted, the byline of the story has, quote, changed to simply read by Jezebel. The owner of Jezebel, Josh Jackson, chimed in, said the article was simply a quote-unquote tongue-in-cheek exploration of people selling hexes on Etsy, and it was intended basically to be satire to a response to Charlie Kirk's rhetoric over the years. The writer was very clear that, quote, she didn't want real harm to come to Kirk. Now, if you believe that, I mean, you can do what you want with that, but these are the same people that they kept consistently trying to curse Donald Trump as well. Y'all remember that? What happened today is tragic and becoming all too commonplace, and we condemn this awful act of violence. Within the article, Variety reports that it reads, quote, I want to make it clear I'm not calling on dark forces to cause real harm or cause him harm. I want him to, quote, wake up every morning with an inexplicable zit. I want his podcast microphone to, quote, malfunction every time he sets to record. The Jezebel writer goes on to say that, quote, to ruin his day with the collective feminist power of the Etsy coven would be life's greatest joy. Now, again, you could do what you want. I'm not going to read all of this. I do want to, let's respond here. And I'm going to read this here. This certainly sounds like the writer was calling down dark forces on Kirk. What's even worse is that the author further claimed to have paid 3 different witches she met through Etsy to, quote, curse him by having others hate him and cast a powerful hex spell. This is chilling. There really are people out there who want to see suffering in others' lives and call upon demonic forces to pain them. Our nation is now in mourning after the loss of Kirk because evil and hatred took precedence in a young man's heart. The name of the site, Jezebel, also in this case is eerie because Jezebel is an ancient dark spiritual power that has been trying to take over our world today. Not only that, guys, but I want to throw this in there. It doesn't have this in the article, but Jezebel tried to silence the voice of the prophets in her day. She tried to silence the voices of those who proclaim truth in her day. She tried to silence the voices of those who opposed her administration, her legislations, her agenda. And you go read Ahab and Jezebel, who was in office in that day, and the things that they were doing, the evil, the atrocities. They were silencing prophets. They wanted land that Naboth had, and they were willing to take him out to achieve it. So yes, this is spiritual forces at hand.
Thing that we really have been talking about for the last couple of weeks, just obliquely, has been this growth of evil in our society. I mean, I think there is real evil and real possession that is happening in our society. I mean, you look at some of the people that are on the streets and they'll just be screaming politics. You know, they'll just be like, I don't know if you've seen it, but, people will just be calmly just talking about Christ or preaching, and somebody will come up and they just can't handle it. And it's almost a possession. We saw the shooter in that honestly feels a little like the Joker in Batman. Just evil on what he was doing and how he lined everything up, and it was. Now you have the shooter in Charlotte, and then you have Charlie Kirk's shooter. I mean, is there such a thing as possession? I think there is. And what is the difference between mental illness and possession, and how do you fight against this, and who can make sense of this? Well, one of my friends, Rick Burgess, he's a host of the Rick Burgess Show, syndicated on more than 70 stations on the iHeartRadio network, and top-tier comedy podcast, and a deep thinking Christian that has really been studying all of this and can maybe provide us with some answers. Hey, Rick, how are you?
Glenn, I wish you and I were in a different situation where we could cut up and goof off like we have gotten to do, but
like
it is not the time. It's not the time for that. You're right. It's you can't ignore what's happening. There is a darkness that is taking over our society. And I had someone ask me on the show, do you think it's darker than it's ever been? I said, well, I can't speak to the beginning of all mankind, because we know in Genesis chapter 6 that God killed everybody but 8 people. So, but I can say in my lifetime, yes, this is the darkest that I, at 60 years old, have ever experienced. And I think some of it is a lack of understanding in the spiritual realm when it comes to demons and angels.
We're almost the same age, and I remember my father said to me that in the 60s it felt like everything was coming undone. And I think there was some real the same kind of dangerous evil poison, but the society, at least in America, was much healthier spiritually. So we had this balance where we were mainly religious people that could fall on the messages of Christ a lot easier. Now that has been chased out into the corners, and so we have left this gigantic void. And you know, it's one thing to see people who are revolutionaries that are disagree or whatever, and it is an entirely different thing. I mean, let me just, I don't want to play any of the audio because I don't want to invite anything in, but play the video here of the shooter that was going, this transgender shooter that was going through the way he set everything up, his little manifesto. I mean, how do you describe this other than possession? And what does that mean, Rick?
It really is. I mean, you see that even he is struggling with what he's going to do, and he doesn't seem to even want to kill himself, but he knows he's going to, which is always a marker of demonic activity, that the demons will always kill the host. So there's possession versus oppression. Here, I think you see complete possession because of that. And the conversation.
Wait, what is the difference? For anybody who doesn't know anything about this, or even those who don't believe in possession, just believe this is just mental illness, explain what it mean, what all these terms mean, and what the difference is between this and just mental illness.
Well, possession is that you have opened yourself up to demonic activity to the point that they literally take over your body. You have demons or a demon that has housed itself in your body. Now, this is not something that could happen to anyone who is redeemed by Christ. Only oppression can happen there, and oppression is being harassed by demons. I'm battling demons. They do not have possession of me, but they're oppressing me. We see this with the Apostle Paul, even, in 2 Corinthians, when he says, "I have this thorn in my flesh that I pleaded to God to take away. It's so severe, and I'm so miserable that a demon has been sent to harass me because I'm in such a miserable state, trying to get me to denounce Christ." But I won't, of course. So you see that even some of the most powerful heroes of our faith, they have been oppressed by demons. Job battled against Satan himself, but possession is what Jesus encountered, like this person, where the demons are crying out from the person. They possess the person, and Jesus said what? Not stop oppressing them. He said what? Come out of them. And that is demon possession, and that's where you usually see the most wicked activity.
And that is stuff it doesn't just happen. You have to invite it in.
Here. Now, I want to, for the next few moments, I want to talk about something that I think is very interesting. Now, look at this. You probably didn't hear about this. On the very day, look at this. Here's the article date, September 10th. On the same day, and by the way, this took place later on that evening, a magnitude 4.1 earthquake struck Uinta Basin just west of Vernal in eastern Utah. What? A magnitude 4.1 magnitude earthquake struck Uinta Basin just west of Vernal. The earthquake struck at approximately 5:57 p.m. on Wednesday at a depth of 42 miles. Now, if you guys are a viewer of our ministry and podcast that we do week after week after week, you'll know that we've talked about there is a direct correlation and connection with the shedding of innocent blood and disasters, howbeit earthquakes. You go, again, read Revelation chapter 11, the 2 witnesses are slain, and there's a mighty earthquake in Jerusalem. Go read in Ezekiel chapter 30 and 39, there's Gog-Magog war that takes place. In that war, it's going to be bloody. There's going to be shedding of blood. There is a massive earthquake takes place there. When Jesus Christ was crucified at the cross, he was an innocent man, even so much so that Pontius Pilate took out a basin of water when he was on trial and washed his hands clean of the man's blood. And the people cried out, "Let his blood be upon us and our children." And when Christ was crucified, what happened, ladies and gentlemen? Talk to me. There was a great earthquake that was so powerful that it ripped the veil in two. All through the Bible. Go and read in the book of Revelation The martyrs are crying out, how long until you avenge our blood? When Cain slew Abel, his blood cried out because the life of the flesh is in the blood and your blood has a voice. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't. And I know people will disagree, and that's okay. But I'm going to show you something else that happened that I think is interesting as well. Now, let me read this. Rare tornado touches down near southwest Colorado, damaging at least 3 homes. Well, you say, whatever, that was Colorado, Brother Ricky. Well, hold on here. A rare tornado confirmed by National Weather Service prompted the agency to issue a tornado warning Saturday for parts of Montezuma and Dolores counties in Colorado and east central Juan County in Utah. According to the report, mobile homes was damaged, destroyed, and damaged roofs, windows, and vehicles likely to occur. Now, look, just in case, and I know somebody's gonna say, "Oh, well, this is normal." And no, let me highlight this. Ready? We're going to say it slow. These types of storms are extremely rare in the area, especially this time of year. What are you trying to say, preacher? I'm trying to say, guys, that listen to me. If you think in the Bible, in Proverbs, the Lord says, "Yea, these 6 things I hate, and 7 are an abomination unto me." One of those things is the shedding of innocent blood. I'm going to go ahead and go on record and say this, that when Charlie Kirk's wife got up and said, "You have no idea what you have unleashed." Now, this was not she was not inciting violence. She was talking about the movement that will rise up, those that will take the baton of Charlie's voice and his message of faith and standing for truth. That will carry on and it will grow in number and it will increase, no doubt. But I'm going to flip it on another side. You have no idea what you've unleashed. This kind of stuff, guys, happening in our nation will unleash the judgment of God, because God will not allow that stuff to go on and there not be consequences. Now, does that mean he's going to go and bring disasters and kill all kinds of innocent people? No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, you can't sit back and sit here and scratch your head and wonder, why are we getting all these weird plagues and pestilences? Why are earthquakes keep popping off all over the place and we're getting tsunami warnings? And why are there fault lines coming awake and there's earthquake swarms taking place? Why is the economy not getting any better? Why is our meat prices increasing? Food supplies getting infected, rare freak tornadoes happening, and this happening, that happening. Please read Leviticus 26, read Deuteronomy 28. There are direct consequences when we as a nation violate the word of God. Now, guys, I cannot put all this in one podcast. Tomorrow evening, which will be Tuesday, September 16th, I'm going to show you something that I believe is going to be profound. I'm going to show you 2 things. We're going to do one half of the podcast. I'm going to show you a revelation out of Revelation 11. And then on the second half of the podcast, I'm going to show you a revelation out of 2 Thessalonians. And I'm going to show you how this event that took place is a massive warning sign of where we are spiritually speaking. The thermometer is blasting, and it's showing us there's a warning going on. If you have a smoke detector in your house, you know if smoke is detected, it's going to flash, it's going to alarm, it's going to sound. You're going to hear that sound, and you're going to know there's smoke present. And if there's smoke present, there's a fire. What happened last week is sending the alarms off, and I'm going to show you what the fire is that's coming and that we're now in. And we're not talking about, we're talking about something you're going to have ears to hear. You're going to have spiritual ears to hear. Let he who has ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit is saying. So please do not miss that podcast tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. So listen, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what we're talking about today. Let me know your comments. Let me know, maybe I missed something here today that's of points of interest. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. You can email us, endtimeheadlines@yahoo.com, or you can go to our main website and you can contact us there as well. So listen, we're going to wrap this up tonight. Again, if you don't have our free app, we'd love for you to pick it up today on Apple and Android. Download it today. Hit yes to push notifications if you want to catch up with everything that we got out there. And if you enjoy our content and you would like to partner with us, I want you to stand by. We got a message for you on how you can do that. Watch this.
If you enjoy our content and would like to partner with End Time Headlines, helping us make more people aware of the times and seasons which we are in from a prophetic perspective, you can go to endtimeheadlines.org and click Support. Here you can give a one-time gift or a monthly pledge on our main website. This page also shows you how to give electronically through Cash App or Venmo. If you would like to give by check or money order, you can make it out to End Time Headlines at P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. Or you can give through our free End Time Headlines app by pressing the bottom right button that says Donate.
All right, guys. So again, thank you so much for being a part of the program. Again, don't forget to hit that like button as well. Subscribe to us here on YouTube and Rumble as well, and hit that bell notification. We're going to be signing off for tonight, and we'll see you guys right back here tomorrow night, Lord willing, same time, same place, same channel. Until we see you guys on the next one, I pray the Lord bless you, keep you, and may his countenance shine upon you. We'll see you then.
To the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.